Rain fell in thin, steady lines that evening, soft like a whisper on the city streets. The hospital entrance glowed with pale light, and people hurried in and out with umbrellas and folded coats. He stood there for a second before stepping inside. A tall man in a dark suit who looked like he belonged in a meeting room, not in a waiting area. He was a CEO, known for building companies and buying buildings, but lately he felt like he could not build the one thing that mattered most: peace. Inside his own home, in his left hand he held the tiny palm of his daughter. She held on tightly, and he squeezed back, as if that small pressure could stop the rest of the world from rushing past them. His name was Ayan. He had been widowed for a little over a year. People told him he was strong. They told him he was lucky to have resources and support. But the truth was simple. The days were long, and the nights were longer. He had a beautiful daughter named Lena, only 6 years old, with eyes that used to sparkle and now often looked tired. She was polite, quiet, and brave. She did not like doctors, but she liked the fish tank in the hospital lobby. She would press her hands against the glass and look at the blue and yellow fish swimming calmly in circles, as if the world could be peaceful like that, bright and slow and safe. They had come for a follow-up check after a seasonal cough. Ayan had arranged the best specialist, not because the cough was serious, but because it made him anxious to see Lena unwell. He had learned that love makes you careful. He had also learned that love makes you feel helpless sometimes, because you cannot control everything. As they walked toward the reception, a small figure on the steps caught his eye. A young woman in a thin jacket sat on the side, as if she wanted to be invisible. She had a hospital badge clipped to her uniform. Her hair was tied back and a few strands were damp from the rain. She held a paper cup with both hands, breathing slowly as the steam rose and faded. She was shivering, though she tried to hide it by pulling her sleeves over her fingers. Lena noticed her first. "Baba, she looks cold," Lena said softly. Ayan followed his daughter's gaze and looked again at the woman. There was something gentle about the way she sat, something careful and quiet. He saw kindness on her face even though she looked tired. He felt a pull inside, the kind you feel when you recognize a story you do not know yet. Inside the reception area, the nurse at the desk checked Lena in. The waiting area was warm. Ayan took off Lena's coat and folded it neatly. He told himself not to look back at the steps, but he did. The same nurse was still there in his mind, even when he pretended to read a brochure about children's health. He found himself wondering why a hospital nurse would be sitting outside in the rain with a paper cup and no sweater thick enough for the weather. He did not know her name. He only knew that she seemed like the kind of person who gave comfort to others, but did not have enough comfort for herself. The doctor called Lena in, and the checkup went smoothly. The doctor smiled and said Lena was doing well. Ayan thanked him. Lena was brave, as always. On the way out, they passed the pediatric ward. Through the open door, Ayan saw children with soft blankets and colorful stickers. He saw a volunteer reading a story in a gentle voice. And then he saw the same nurse from the steps, now inside, talking to a small boy who looked scared. She crouched to his level and spoke with calm, kind words. She did not rush. She held his hand in a steady way that told the child, "You are safe here." The boy's face relaxed. Ayan watched from the hallway, feeling something warm in his chest that he had not felt in a long time. Lena tugged on his sleeve. "Baba, that's the lady," she whispered. "She helped the boy." Ayan nodded. "Yes, she did," he said. He tried to walk on, but Lena lingered. The nurse noticed them and stood. She smiled at Lena first, the way people who love children do, with her eyes and her smile in the same line. "Hello," she said to Lena. "Are you feeling better?" Lena nodded. "I like the fish tank," she said. The nurse laughed softly. Me too, she replied. I always stop to look at it when my day is heavy. The fish don't hurry. They remind me to breathe. Ayan introduced himself and thanked her for her work. Her name, she said, was Sarah. Her voice was steady but gentle, the kind of voice that made the room feel less sharp. They spoke for a minute about the pediatric ward, about bedtime stories and stickers, about how some children smile again after a warm cup of tea. It was nothing more than small talk, but something meaningful lived inside those ordinary words. It was the calm way she listened. It was the way Lena's shoulders dropped when Sarah spoke to her, as if a weight had been lifted. Paige came over the intercom, and Sarah excused herself with a polite nod. She moved with quiet purpose, the way people do when they know that small acts can make a big difference. Ayan watched her go. He felt a question forming in his mind, but he did not know what it was yet. He and Lena visited the fish tank once, more, and then they walked toward the exit. The rain had paused, leaving the pavement shiny and clean. Outside, near the side door, he saw Sarah again. Her shift had ended. She was pulling her thin jacket tight and checking her phone. A small bag hung on her shoulder, soft fabric, worn at the corners. She looked up and smiled when she saw Lena. "Good night," she said kindly. "Sleep well?" Lena smiled back and waved, the small wave of a child who has decided a new person is safe to love. A taxi pulled up and another nurse climbed in. Sarah did not. She looked down the street, then back at the hospital. Ayan felt that same pull again, like a gentle hand on his sleeve. He told himself it wasn't his place to wonder. He told himself he was a stranger. But he also knew that sometimes life sends you a small sign, and if you ignore it, you miss a door that was quietly opening. "Would you like a ride?" he asked carefully, not wanting to make her uncomfortable. "We're heading that way." Sarah shook her head with a grateful smile. "Thank you," she said. "I'm fine. I'll walk a bit." Her voice was honest, but her shoulders were still tight from the cold. Ayan nodded, not wanting to push. "Take this, please," he said, offering her a new umbrella he kept in the car for Lena. The rain might return. She hesitated, then accepted it. "Thank you," she said. "I'll return it next time." Ayan smiled. "Keep it," he replied. "We have more." They said goodnight, and he helped Lena into the car seat. As the car pulled away, Lena looked out of the window at Sarah's small figure, now under the umbrella, walking with careful steps. "Baba," Lena said. "She is nice." Ayan nodded. "She is." Lena leaned her cheek against the glass and watched the city lights blur into soft lines. "Can we see her again?" she asked in a quiet voice. Ayan did not know the answer. "Maybe," he said, and meant it. That night, after Lena fell asleep with her favorite storybook open on her chest, Ayan went to his home office. He sat in Shiu, the leather chair that everyone praised, but he barely felt. The room was quiet, the kind of quiet that reminded him of a closed door. He tried to go through his emails, but the words floated like tiny boats he could not catch. His mind went back, to the hospital steps, to a cup of steam in cold hands, to a quiet smile that calmed a scared child. He wondered where Sarah would sleep. He wondered if she had people who asked about her day, who made her tea, who told her she was not alone. He did not know why he cared. He only knew that part of his heart recognized something in her. Maybe the lonely strength. Maybe the way she kept showing up for others even when she was tired. The next day, he brought Lena to the hospital again to drop off a thank you card for the doctor. It was a small card with a drawing of a fish that Lena had colored. In the hallway, they saw Sarah at the end of her shift, putting away charts. She looked surprised to see them, but happy. Lena ran a few small steps forward and held out a folded piece of paper she had made herself, a simple drawing of a nurse holding a child's hand. "This is you," Lena said with a shy grin. "You help." Sarah took the drawing like it was something precious. Her eyes softened. "This is beautiful," she said. "I will keep it." As they chatted, a colleague called to Sarah about a schedule change. Sarah's face dimmed for a second, just a second, but Ayan saw it. It was the look of someone trying to solve a problem alone. He did not ask. He only listened. She mentioned she was between places at the moment and was figuring things out. She said it gently, not to invite pity, but to be honest. Ayan felt his chest tighten. He asked if she had everything she needed. She gave her polite smile and said, yes. But the smile didn't reach the worry in her eyes. Lena tugged his sleeve again. "Can she come see the fish with us?" Lena whispered. Ayan asked, and Sarah said she had a minute. The three of them stood at the tank watching the blue and yellow fish glide like small lanterns in water. Sarah told Lena the names of a few fish species, the ones she remembered from a poster. Lena listened, spellbound, her small hand wrapped around the strap of her backpack. Ayan listened too, feeling a strange peace settle over his shoulders. The hospital lights reflected on the glass, and for a breath, everything felt simple. 2 adults, a child, and a calm little world behind glass. When it was time to leave, Sarah thanked them for the company. Ayan wanted to say something more. He wanted to say, "If you need help, tell me." He wanted to say, "Sometimes people can be the answer to each other's prayers." But he did not know her well enough, and he did not want to make her uncomfortable. So he only said, "If you ever need anything." Morning came slowly, in a soft gray light that made the city look quiet and careful. Sarah left the shelter early, before most people woke up. She folded her blanket, thanked the attendant, and walked to the hospital with her small bag on her shoulder. The air was cold and she pulled the umbrella tighter over her head, the same umbrella Ayan had given her. It felt like a tiny roof that she carried, a little promise that the day would be kind. At the hospital, she changed into her uniform and washed her face at the sink. She tied her hair back with a plain band and pressed her badge on her chest. The break room coffee was weak, but warm. She wrapped her hands around the paper cup and let the steam wake her slowly. Her schedule was full: morning vitals in the pediatric ward, 2 pre-op checks, and a set of discharge instructions for a worried mother. It was the kind of day she knew well, busy, careful, filled with small tasks that mattered to someone. Sarah had always been like this, steady in storms, gentle in places that needed gentleness. She had moved to the city to support her family back home. For 2 years, she shared a small room with another nurse, paid her part on time, and sent money to help her younger brother stay in school. Then the building changed hands, the rent doubled, and her roommate left the city to live with cousins. Sarah tried to hold on, but her savings were thin. She told herself it was temporary when she packed her things into 2 bags. She told herself she would find a new room quickly. Days turned into weeks. She stayed some nights with a coworker on a couch, some nights in a women's shelter, some nights in the hospital break room when the weather was too rough to walk. She kept her pride quiet and her smile bright, because the children in her ward watched faces and learned their mood from them. In another part of the city, Ayan opened the fridge and stared at the organized shelves with a lost look. He tried to make breakfast. He could sign a contract without blinking, but he could not remember how long to toast bread without burning it. Lena sat at the counter, legs swinging in the tall chair, hair still messy from sleep. She watched him with a small, patient smile. "Eggs?" he asked. "Toast?" she asked. They laughed at the same time, and he felt relief wash over him. He buttered the toast lightly and cut it into small squares because she liked it that way. He poured orange juice and packed her school snack. A nanny had worked with them for a while but left to care for her own family. Ayan had tried agencies, interviews, schedules. Many people had skill. Few had the gentleness that made Lena's. Shoulders drop and her eyes soften. He had learned that a home is not only about help, it is about feeling safe. After school, they stopped by the hospital to give the doctor a thank you note and to pick up a refill. Lena held a paper bag with cough drops like a treasure. She remembered the fish tank and asked to see it. Ayan let her lead. The lobby was busy but warm, and the soft hum of the filter made the water glow blue. Sarah stood nearby, kneeling to tie the shoelace of a little girl who did not know how. "All done," she said with a smile. When she looked up, she saw Lena's face, and then Ayan's. Her smile widened without effort. "Hello again," she said. "Hello," Lena replied. "Do the fish remember people?" Sarah tilted her head, thinking. "I think they remember kindness," she said. "Maybe not faces, but the feeling." Ayan watched the exchange like a thirsty person watching water. It was simple and tender. He noticed how Lena leaned closer to Sarah, how her small hand almost reached for Sarah's sleeve, and then stopped, shy. He noticed how Sarah paid close attention without forcing anything, the way a steady lamp gives light without heat. "Do you have a minute for tea?" Ayan asked, careful not to sound like he was asking for too much. "Our thank you stop can include a thank you tea." Sarah hesitated. She kept a strict line in her mind between her work and her personal life. She also kept a strict budget. Tea at the hospital cafeteria would not break anything, but she had taught herself to say no to many small comforts so she could say yes to rent and bus passes and family needs. Still, she looked at Lena's hopeful eyes and felt her own heart soften. "I have a few minutes," she said. They sat in the cafeteria, a bright space with clean tables and the smell of baked bread. Lena chose hot chocolate. Ayan ordered tea and a small muffin, which Lena broke in half and pushed toward Sarah without a word. Sarah said thank you and took the piece with grateful care, as if it were a gift. They talked about the fish tank. They talked about the easiest bedtime stories. Lena liked ones where the hero is a small bird who finds its way home by listening to the wind. "That's a good one," Sarah said. "Do you think the wind talks to us?" Lena nodded with great seriousness. "It says, 'Slow down.'" Ayan and Sarah exchanged a look that lasted only a second, but something quiet passed between them. Respect, perhaps, for a child's way of telling the truth. A pager buzzed on Sarah's belt. She checked it, then looked up with an apologetic smile. "I should go. A new family just arrived." "Thank you," Ayan said. "For the tea, and for the umbrella's good service." She laughed softly. "It has earned its keep." Over the next week, their paths crossed by chance and a little by choice. Ayan had follow-ups and paperwork. He adjusted his schedule. To arrive at times, he thought Sarah might be at the desk, though he would not have admitted that plan to anyone. He learned that when Sarah spoke to anxious parents, her voice had a way of smoothing the air. He learned that she noticed small things. A teddy bear missing a bow, a child's blanket folded too tightly. She would loosen the blanket, smooth the fabric, and say, "Comfort helps healing." He thought about that sentence long after he drove away. One afternoon, rain returned, and the sound of it on the hospital awning was like a gentle drum. Lena asked if they could wait by the fish and read a book. Ayan had one in the car. As he turned to go fetch it, he saw Sarah leaving the ward, checking her phone with a crease in her forehead. She stopped when she saw them and smiled. "Do you like stories?" Lena asked shyly, holding up the book when Ayan brought it back. "Will you read, please? Only if you are free." Sarah looked at the clock, then at the door, then back at Lena. "I have 10 minutes," she said. and sat on the bench beside her. Lena tucked against her side like a small bird. Sarah read in a clear, calm voice. Nothing dramatic, just steady and kind. Ayan leaned on a pillar, watching the two of them as the lobby moved around them like a river moving around two stones. He did not know when exactly the ache in his chest loosened, only that it did, a little. When the 10 minutes ended, Lena looked up and whispered, "Can you stay a little longer?" Sarah's face softened. "I wish I could," she said. "The little ones upstairs are waiting for their story, too." She stood and smoothed Lena's hair. "But I can finish the last page with you next time. Will you save it for me?" Lena nodded, earnest, relieved by this small promise. After Sarah left, Ayan sat with his thoughts. He thought about his house, quiet and perfect like a magazine, and how it felt more like a picture than a home. He thought about the evenings when he and Lena ate silently, because he did not know how to fill the air without the woman who used to do it with warmth and laughter. He had help, he had support, he had resources. Yet he sensed that what they needed was not more staff. They needed someone who made the rooms breathe. At the end of her shift, Sarah walked out into the evening, umbrella open, bag on her shoulder. She had 2 messages on her phone. One was from her mother, sending love and a photo of the family dog. The other was from her landlord at the old building, a final notice about a balance she had tried to clear in small parts. She closed her eyes for a second and took a slow breath. She did not want pity. She wanted a plan. She told herself that plans start with 1 step at a time. The next day, the charge nurse mentioned that overtime would be limited for a while. Budgets had been reviewed. Sarah nodded, said she understood, and kept smiling. But in the break room, she took the small bracelet from her wrist, just a simple silver chain, and placed it gently in her bag. It would cover a few meals if she needed to sell it. She hoped she would not. She folded Lena's drawing of a nurse holding a child's hand and looked at it. It reminded her that even in hard seasons, she still had a purpose. And purpose brings light. Later that week, as Ayan and Lena walked down the hall after a vaccine card update, they found a small commotion at the play corner. A puzzle spilled, a few pieces under the bench, a boy on the edge of tears. Sarah was there already, kneeling at eye level. "We can fix this," she said calmly. "1 piece at a time." The boy sniffed and nodded. Lena crouched beside them, searching under the bench. She found a blue piece and held it up like a trophy. "See?" she said. The boy smiled, the first small smile of his afternoon. Ayan stood back and watched. He realized something simple and rare. Sarah had a way of being present that did not make anyone feel small. He had seen many people who moved quickly and spoke loudly to show their importance. Sarah did neither. She listened, she noticed, she steadied. On the drive home, Lena said, "Baba, can she come to our house and read the bird story?" Ayan kept his eyes on the road. "Maybe we can ask her if she ever has free time," he said carefully. He did not want to put pressure on Sarah. He also did not want to promise something he could not secure. At dinner, the house was quiet again. The fork on the plate sounded loud. Ayan looked at the chair across from them. He did. He next few days moved like gentle waves. Sarah worked her shifts with steady hands and a quiet smile. She finished the last page of the bird story with Lena in the lobby one afternoon, and the way Lena leaned against her shoulder made the world feel a little softer. Ayan watched from a short distance, grateful for small moments that did not draw attention to themselves, but changed the air in a room. He brought tea for Sarah when he could, not as a favor, but as a thank you for the calm she gave to others. One evening after her shift, Sarah stepped outside and checked her messages. The shelter was full for the night. A co-worker's couch was not available because visiting relatives were staying. The rain had started again, thin and cold. She stood under the awning, holding the umbrella Ayan had given her. She did not want to worry anyone. She did not want to ask for help. She took a breath and decided to walk to the late-night cafe where she sometimes sat until it grew quiet enough to rest in the hospital break room. Just then, Lena and Ayan came through the main doors. Lena saw her and ran a few small steps, then stopped, remembering her father's rule about staying close. Sarah smiled. Ayan lifted a hand in greeting. "Long day?" he asked gently. "A good one," she said, and meant it. "The little ones were brave." "Have you eaten?" he asked. She shook her head. "Not yet." "Would you join us for soup at the cafe across the street?" he asked. "It is simple food, but warm. We were headed there." Sarah hesitated. She kept her life carefully balanced and did not like to lean on others. But she also knew warmth helps people keep their strength. She nodded. "Thank you." They walked together under two umbrellas. In the cafe, the light was soft and the windows fogged at the corners. The server knew Lena by now and brought a small cup of warm milk. Ayan ordered soup and bread for everyone. Sarah wrapped her fingers around the bowl and felt the heat soak in, like a promise that the present moment was safe. They spoke about ordinary things. A puzzle the children had fixed, the fish tank, Lena's new favorite word from school. There was comfort in these small topics. When the bowls were almost empty and the table was quiet, Ayan looked at Sarah with a careful honesty, the kind that carries no pressure. "I have been thinking," he said, his voice low, "about you, about Lena, about our home. I hope this is not forward. If it is, please tell me and I will step back. But I want to say it clearly because my heart has been saying it for days." He paused, not for effect, but for respect. "You need a home, and I need a mother for my daughter." The words hung in the warm air. Sarah's spoon stopped halfway to the bowl. It was not the first time someone had offered her help, but this was not the same. The way he said it did not make her feel small. It did not sound like charity. It sounded like truth, spoken with care. She set the spoon down carefully. "Those are big words," she said softly. "They are," Ayan agreed, "and I say them slowly. I am not asking you to replace anyone. No one can. I am asking whether you would consider living in our home, at least for a trial period, in a role that is clear and safe. You would have your own room, your own key, your privacy, a salary for after-school care and home routines, and full freedom to continue your work at the hospital. You would also have the freedom to leave at any time if it does not feel right. I am offering this because I see how Lena is with you and how you are with her, and I see how you are managing a hard season with grace. If the answer is no, there is no pressure and no change in respect." Sarah looked at her hands and then at Ayan. She wanted to answer with grace, too. "I am honored," she said, and her eyes shone a little. "I want to be careful. I need safety and dignity. I need to know there are boundaries, and I need to know this is not a promise I cannot keep." "It will be in writing," Ayan said simply. "House rules, schedule, responsibilities, time off pay. We can make it as formal as you need to feel safe. And I will introduce you to our longtime housekeeper, who is like family. You can speak to her privately. If you want, you can also speak to my attorney or a social worker we know to ask any questions. I want you to feel respected, not obligated." She nodded slowly. "May I think about it?" "Of course," Ayan said. "Take all the time you need. If it helps, you can visit the house first, meet the housekeeper, see the room, and then decide." Lena had been quiet, listening with a child's wide attention. "Miss Sarah," she said softly, "we have a window in the kitchen that looks at the sky. Sometimes it turns pink. You can see it if you come." Sarah smiled at the picture Lena painted. Pink sky sounds nice, she said. They finished their soup. Ayan paid and asked if he could give Sarah a ride to wherever she needed to go. She accepted, grateful to save her feet from the cold, wet streets. In the car, they spoke lightly about nothing at all, which felt like a bridge between two careful shores. The next afternoon, on her break, Sarah visited the house. She wanted daylight. She wanted to meet the housekeeper and see the room. Ayan greeted her at the door and stepped back to let the warm light and gentle smells speak first. The house did not try to impress. It was quiet, clean, a little too perfect in places, but not cold. A woman in her 50s came from the kitchen with kind eyes and flour on her hands. "This is Mrs. D'Souza," Ayan said. "She has kept this. Homesteady since before Lena was born." "Welcome," Mrs. D'Souza said. "Come see the kitchen. We are safe here and we eat well." They laughed. Sarah felt her shoulders lower by a small measure. The guest room had a window that looked at a tree. The closet was empty, ready. The bathroom was bright and private. There was a small desk by the window. A key sat on the desk. Ayan did not touch. He let her look first. "I do not need an answer today," he said in the hallway. "I only want you to know what I mean when I say dignity and privacy." Lena took Sarah's hand and pulled her gently to a shelf near the stairs. "We keep our favorite books here. You can put one if you want." "I would like that," Sarah said. "I have a bird story to add." In the late afternoon, Sarah went back to the hospital and found a quiet corner to call her friend Maria, a senior nurse who had guided her many times. She explained the offer in careful detail: the room, the boundaries, the respect. Maria asked questions, practical and kind. "Do you feel safe?" she asked. "Are there clear lines? Can you keep your job? Do you have a person to check in with daily?" "Yes," Sarah said. "I would keep my job. He suggested a written agreement. Mrs. D'Souza is there, and I can call you every night." "Then try a short period," Maria said. 2 weeks. Keep your independence. Keep your savings. Keep your keys. If it is good, you can continue. If not, you step back. Do not carry this alone, but do not hand your life to anyone either. That night, Sarah held Lena's drawing in her hands. She thought about the children who calmed when she said, "One piece at a time." She decided to take her own advice. 1 piece at a time. She called Ayan and said she would like to try a 2-week trial. They met at a quiet office at the hospital the next day and wrote down clear points. Her hours at the hospital stay the same. Her role at home was after-school care, dinner routines, homework help, bedtime stories. She would have 2 full days off each week, a fair salary, no overnight responsibilities unless she agreed on a case-by-case basis. Her room was her private space. Respect always. They both signed. Ayan did not rush. He listened. Sarah added 2 lines of her own: a nightly check-in call with Maria and the freedom to say no to any task that crossed her comfort. Ayan agreed without hesitation. On Saturday morning, Lena and Ayan picked her up with her small bag and the umbrella, balanced carefully on top. They stopped by a little store and chose small things that make a room feel like a person lives there: a soft blanket, a simple lamp, a mug with the word sunshine on it that Lena picked with a bright smile. "Because you are like sunshine," Lena said, repeating her own words from days ago. At the house, Sarah made the bed with the soft blanket and set the mug on the desk. She placed the bird story on the shelf by the stairs. She wrote Maria's number on the whiteboard in the kitchen under a section labeled Important. Ayan gave her a small folder with emergency numbers, school times, and favorite meals. "You are very organized," she said, smiling. "I try," he replied. "You teach me to make the house warm. I can at least make the papers neat." They cooked dinner together that night: rice, vegetables, and a mild soup. Lena washed carrots at the sink. and giggled when water splashed her sleeves. Sarah rolled up her own sleeves and laughed with her. The house felt different, not fuller in a loud way, but steadier. After dinner, Sarah read a short story while Ayan tidied the kitchen. Lena's head grew heavy on her shoulder by the last page. Sarah carried the gentle quiet to Lena's room and helped her tuck in, then stepped back and let father and daughter share their good night. In the living room, Ayan thanked her. "This already feels kinder," he said. "Thank you for trusting." "Me," she replied. "Let us take it one day at a time." They reviewed the next day's plan: Sarah's morning shift, a peaceful afternoon, a simple dinner. They agreed on boundaries again, not because they doubted them, but because clear words protect tender beginnings. Sarah sent Maria a quick message. Safe, settled, door locks well, people kind. Maria replied with a heart and a thumbs up. When the house grew quiet, Sarah sat by her window and looked at the tree outside. The leaves moved gently against the night sky. She thought about the sentence he had said in the cafe and how the 2-week trial moved forward one day at a time, and the house began to change in small, warm ways. It was not loud. It was not dramatic. It was simple things. The smell of toast early in the morning, laughter in the hallway when a sock slipped. On polished floors, a soft song from the kitchen when dishes were rinsed. Sarah woke before sunrise, opened her window to the tree, and breathed in the quiet. She made tea and left the kettle warm for Ayan. He set the table and cut fruit into small pieces for Lena's lunch. These little acts met in the middle like two hands, and the house started to feel less like a picture and more like a place where people lived. On Monday, Sarah picked Lena up from school. Lena came running with her backpack bouncing, eyes bright. "Miss Sarah, we planted beans today," she said. "They will grow if we talk to them." Sarah listened with care and asked a dozen small questions because children love to tell things twice when someone listens well. On the way home, they stopped at a tiny shop. Sarah bought a clay pot and a small packet of herb seeds. "We'll grow these on your window," she said. They, like sun and simple words. At dinner, the pot sat on the sill like a quiet promise. Mrs. D'Souza teased that the herbs would be ready just when the soup needed them. Ayan watched the window as if the green had already appeared. He did not say much, but the way he looked at the little pot showed something in him had started to hope again. After dinner, Lena did homework at the table while Sarah peeled carrots, and Ayan answered a few emails in the living room. Every so often, he would lift his head, catch the sound of soft talk and pencil scratches, and feel the room breathe. There were small challenges, as there always are in real life. One morning, Lena could not find her favorite hair clip, the one with the tiny blue star. Tears grew big in her eyes because small things are big to a child. Sarah knelt and spoke, gently. "We will look together," she said, "and if we don't find it, we will make a bow with a ribbon that looks like a sky." They found the clip under the couch cushion, and Lena laughed with relief. Another day, the soup was too salty. Ayan made a face, and then he and Sarah added warm water, a little potato, and learned together that even mistakes can be softened. One afternoon, rain tapped on the windows as if the sky were writing a soft letter. Power flickered and went out, for a while. The house grew quiet in a new way. No hum of fridge, no soft engine of the heater. Sarah lit a few candles that Mrs. D'Souza kept in a drawer. "We can make a little camp," she said with a smile. They pushed the coffee table aside and built a simple tent with a sheet and 2 chairs. Lena crawled inside and clapped at the small glow. Ayan joined them, long legs folded, surprised to find himself so comfortable on a rug. Sarah began to tell a made-up story about a small bird who guided 2 travelers through a dark forest by singing steady notes. Lena listened with wide eyes. Ayan listened too, and somewhere between candlelight and the steady rhythm of Sarah's voice, he felt something in him knit itself a little stronger. When the lights came back, Lena asked if they could keep the tent until bedtime. "Just a little," Sarah said with a laugh. "We will put it away before we sleep." Later that night, when Ayan passed the hallway, he saw Sarah check the lock twice and then text her friend Maria a quick note. "All well, lights back, house calm." He knew about the nightly check-in because Sarah had told him. He respected it. He liked that she had her own small circle of care. It meant that Sarah's safety did not depend only on him. It depended on good habits and good people. On Tuesday, a small test came from outside. Ayan's company had a sudden issue. A vendor delayed a shipment that many clients needed. His phone buzzed, his inbox filled, and his calendar tried to swallow his afternoon. He felt the old pressure, the kind that makes the chest tight and the day sharp. In the past, he might have stayed in the office until midnight, eating cold food and whispering promises to fix everything alone. But this time, at 5 o'clock, he closed his laptop and drove home. He wanted to be there for dinner, for homework, for the small routines that make a home steady. The issue could be solved in the morning with a clear mind and a full heart. When he walked in, he found a scene that looked ordinary and special at once. Lena sat at the table with a stack of cards, practicing gentle sounds. Sarah tapped each card softly and smiled with each correct word. "You're strong," she told Lena. "Words listen when you say them slowly." Ayan sat down and listened too. He realized that his daughter's voice had grown a little brighter. He realized that this brightening had not come from bigger gifts. It had come from consistent presence and a calm voice at 6 p.m. on a weekday. After Lena went to bed, Ayan and Sarah washed dishes together. Water ran warm over their hands. "How was your day?" Sarah asked. He told her about the vendor and the delay. He did not complain. He just laid the facts on the table like neat tools. Sarah listened the way she always did, fully. "You came home," she said simply. "That matters." He nodded, surprised at how much those two words changed the feeling around a long day. By the end of the first week, habits had formed that made everything smoother. They wrote a small schedule on the whiteboard: school pickup, reading time, playtime, dinner. There were stars for chores and small drawings for fun. Lena drew a bird next to story and a tiny pot next to water herbs. On Friday night, they made something special. Breakfast for dinner. Pancakes sputtered, fruit shone in bowls, and syrup made small maps on plates. Lena declared it the best idea, and Ayan tried flipping a pancake in the air. It landed halfway on the pan, halfway on the stove, and everyone laughed so hard they had to sit down. On Saturday, they took a slow walk in the park. Leaves moved like quiet waves. Lena collected 3 little stones for the herb pot to feel brave. Ayan held the umbrella just in case, even though the sky looked friendly. Sarah watched the father and daughter from a step behind and felt a soft peace in her chest. She thought of her own parents far away and how they taught her that care is a circle. What you give comes back in a new shape. She took a photo of the tree with her old phone, not for social sharing, but to remember the way light sat on the leaves. That afternoon, Sarah helped Lena prepare for a small school performance scheduled for the following week. Lena had to recite a short poem about the sky at the edge of evening. She was proud, but nervous. Her voice went thin when she practiced. Sarah broke the poem into pieces, like steps on a small path. "One line at a time," she said. "I'll say a line. You say it after me." They moved slowly, and Lena's voice found its strength. Ayan stood in the doorway and felt his heart fill in a quiet, complete way. He saw not just his daughter learning a poem, but his home learning a rhythm. The second week brought a wobble, the kind that tests a house and then strengthens it. On Monday night, Lena woke up from a dream and called out. Ayan hurried in and sat on the bed, rubbing her back. She calmed, but her breath still hiccuped. Sarah knocked softly and asked if she could bring warm water with a touch of honey. Ayan nodded. When Sarah returned, she handed the cup to Lena and then sat on the edge of the rug, not crowding, just present. She told a short, slow story about a lighthouse that stays calm during storms and shines steady so boats can find home. Lena sipped and listened, and her breath found its gentle rhythm again. After Lena fell asleep, Ayan met Sarah in the hallway. "Thank you," he said quietly. "She settles more quickly when you are near." Sarah shook her head. "It is all of us," she said. "You came right away. She trusts your steady hands. I bring a story because stories help a child's mind walk out of the dark." Ayan felt grateful that she gave credit to the team, not only to herself. On Tuesday afternoon, Sarah had a long shift that ran late. Ayan did school pickup, and traffic stretched a 15-minute drive into an hour. He arrived at the gate less composed than usual. Lena climbed in, cheerful anyway, and chattered about a music game in class. Ayan smiled, took a breath, and decided to let the long line of cars be what it was. At home, he started dinner with the recipe Sarah had written on a card: gentle lentils. By the time Sarah arrived, the house smelled like comfort. She washed her hands, joined the last steps, and they finished together, quick and calm. "We're a good team," she said lightly. "We are," he replied, and he meant it in more ways than one. On Thursday, the herb pot showed tiny green dots pushing through the soil. Lena shouted for everyone to come see. They stood at the window, 3 heads in a row. "They heard us talking," Lena announced. "They decided to join the family." The word slipped out, family, and hung in the air like a small bell. No one corrected it. No one made it heavy. Ayan smiled, and Sarah touched the rim of the pot gently with a fingertip. "Welcome," she said to the little green. "We're glad you're here." That evening, Sarah sat at her desk and wrote a list for herself. Keep clear boundaries, keep kindness at the center, keep checking in with Maria, keep saving money, keep the door inside your heart open but careful. She paused, then added a new line: keep noticing joy. There had been so many joyful moments: pancakes, tent stories, green herbs, a calm child after a dream. She realized that healing is often made of joy found in ordinary days, not only of problems solved. On Friday, they went to Lena's school for the performance. Parents sat on folding chairs. Children shuffled in simple costumes. The teacher smiled in the way teachers do when they. Morning light touched the kitchen like soft paint on a wall. The herb pot sat on the windowsill, tiny green leaves reaching for the sun. Ayan set 3 plates on the table and poured tea. Sarah sliced fruit. Lena hummed a small song about birds and sky. The house felt calm, like a heart that had found its gentle beat. After breakfast, Ayan looked at Sarah with the same careful honesty that had guided them since the first day. "Let us talk," he said, "about staying." Sarah nodded. She had slept well. She had sent her nightly message to Maria last night, all calm, child-happy, house steady, and woke with a quiet hope in her chest. "I would like to stay," she said. "Not as a guest, not as someone who might leave in a week. I want to make plans with clarity. I want to keep my job at the hospital. I want to keep my room as my private space. I want to keep 2 full days off each week. I want to keep my nightly check-in with Maria. I also want to be here for dinner, homework, stories, and the small things that make a house feel safe." Ayan listened and wrote these points down on a notepad. "Yes," he said, "to all of it. I will add a raise that matches the hours you truly spend. We will keep the rules on the whiteboard. We will review them every month so we can adjust, if needed. I will also set aside a small fund for Lena's activities that you can manage day to day. You know what she needs in the afternoons? Books, art, small school costs. Sarah smiled. Thank you, she said. And one more thing. If at any time something does not feel right, I will say so. I want us to keep talking. Clear words protect tender hearts. Agreed, Ayan said. They looked at Lena, who watched them with bright eyes. What do you think? Ayan asked her gently. Would you like Sarah to stay for a long time? Lena's answer was simple and full. Yes, she said. Please, stay forever. Sarah laughed softly and opened her arms. Lena flew into her hug like a small bird coming home to a safe branch. Ayan's eyes warmed. He did not rush the moment. He let it sink in. Later that day, they walked to the park. The sky was a soft blue, like a promise. Lena fed ducks small seeds and told them about the herb pot at home. We will make soup when you grow, she told the leaves, as if the pot could hear her across the distance. Sarah and Ayan walked a few steps behind. Their steps matched without planning. When they returned, Ayan called Mrs. D'Souza into the kitchen. We are making this arrangement long-term, he said. Please tell us what you need too. We are a team. Mrs. D'Souza smiled in the way people smile when they have waited to see something good happen. I need only one thing, she said. Tell me when you run out of flour before it becomes a crisis. Everyone laughed. It felt good to laugh at something small and easy. That evening, Sarah called her mother by video. The connection was a little slow, but her mother's face glowed with joy when she heard the news. Safe? Her mother asked. Safe, Sarah said. Respected? Respected. Happy? Sarah looked at Lena, who was drawing at the table, and at Ayan, who was washing a few cups. Happy, she said, and meant it. Her mother pressed, fingers to her lips and then out toward the screen, sending a kiss. Then make this place your home, she said. Keep your good habits, keep your good heart, and keep room for joy. The next weeks carried the shape of this decision. The house settled into a new rhythm. On Mondays, they planned the week. On Tuesdays, they tried a new soup. On Wednesdays, they watered the herbs. On Thursdays, they read 2 stories instead of 1. On Fridays, they ate breakfast for dinner again and tried not to drop any pancakes on the stove. There were still small bumps. One afternoon, Lena had a little disagreement with a classmate about a paintbrush. She came home with tight shoulders, eyes shining with unshed tears. Sarah listened to the whole story without fixing it too fast. Then she said, Let us practice. The words you can use tomorrow. And they did, taking turns. The next day, Lena returned with a smile. We shared, she said simply. It was a small lesson, but it made her stand a little taller. Another day, an email came from the old landlord about the small balance that still remained. Ayan offered to settle it right away. Sarah shook her head gently. Thank you, she said, but this is my path to close. I will pay it in 2 steps from my savings. I want to feel my own feet under me. Ayan respected her answer. He did, however, call the landlord to make sure the receipt was clear and the account would show paid in full. He used his tools to support Sarah's choice, not to erase it. That made a difference. Spring light grew stronger, and the herb pot grew. Brave. Tiny leaves became small branches. Small branches became little handfuls of green. The first day they cut a few leaves and sprinkled them into the soup. Everyone cheered. We cooked a piece of our window, Lena said, giggling. They named the pot Sunshine and placed 3 little stones around the soil, the same stones. Lena had gathered in the park. The kitchen smelled like hope. At school, a parent-teacher meeting brought bright news. Lena's teacher said her voice was stronger and her smile came faster. She looked settled, the teacher said. Children do well when the adults around them keep steady times and steady voices. Ayan and Sarah thanked her and walked home in quiet pride. It was not the kind of pride that shouts. It was the kind that sits warm in the chest like a candle that does not flicker. On Sundays, they began a small ritual called Pink Sky Time. At sunset, they stood at the kitchen window and watched the light change. They did not always talk. Sometimes they just stood and breathed together. Sometimes, Sarah told a 2-minute story. Sometimes Ayan shared a short memory about Lena's mother. Something soft and kind, like the way she used to tie a ribbon in Lena's hair or how she sang while washing apples. This gentle sharing made room for love that had been, and love that was growing now. It did not push either away. As months passed, they took a family photo in the park. A friendly neighbor with a good camera helped. In the picture, Lena stood in the middle. Ayan and Sarah stood on either side, hands close but not forced. Behind them, trees reached up as if cheering. When the photo frame clicked into place on the wall, the house felt more complete. Sometimes people asked confused questions. "Is she the nanny?" someone would say without thinking. Ayan would answer with a calm smile. "She is our family," he would say. "She helps with care. She also brings home into this house." The words were simple. They were enough. One evening, after a full day at the hospital, Sarah returned to a note on her desk. It was from Lena, written in big, careful letters. "When you read, my heart rests." A small drawing showed 3 figures under a window with a pink sky. Sarah kept the note in her drawer with the bird story. These were treasures that did not need locks. Ayan noticed that he had changed too. He still ran his company. He still met big goals, but he no longer tried to carry every weight alone. He came home for dinner. He put his phone away for story time. He learned how to make a simple lentil soup without reading the card. He learned the names of Lena's classmates. He learned how to say, "I need help," and to feel no less strong when he said it. It was a new kind of leadership, steady at work, gentle at home. On a quiet Saturday, they drove to the big public library. The building smelled like paper and time. Lena got her own library card and held it like a medal. They chose books about birds, gardens, and small, brave heroes. At the exit, Lena looked up at Ayan. "Can we invite Miss Sarah to be my school guest on Family Day?" she asked. "The teacher said we can bring someone special." Ayan looked at Sarah. Sarah's eyes softened. "I would be honored," she said. They went, and Lena introduced her to everyone with pride that made her stand a little taller again. By the time the 1-year mark approached, the herb pot had become a small forest. The house had become a place of steady patterns and bright moments. There had been no big noise, no big show, just 1,000 small choices to be kind, to be honest, to be present. On an evening when the sky glowed with a strong pink and the window looked like a soft painting, Ayan asked Sarah to sit with him at the kitchen table. "I have said these words before," he began, voice steady. "I said, 'You need a home, and I need a mother for my daughter.' Those words were true then. They are still true. But something more is true now." Sarah listened with open eyes. "I do not only need you for Lena," he said. "I need you because of who you are. You steady our days. You warm this house. You have become my friend, my partner in all the small work that builds a life. I love the way you listen. I love the way you make space for people to be themselves. I love the way you care for your own dignity and teach us to care for ours. I love you." The room went very quiet, but not heavy. The herb leaves moved a little in the window's light breeze, as if the house itself breathed with them. Sarah placed her hands on the table. "I have been careful with my heart," she said softly. "I kept my own keys. I kept my check-ins. I kept my savings. But I have also kept joy. And in that joy, something grew. I love this child. I love this home, and I have grown to love you too. Ayan let out a slow breath he had been holding without knowing. He did not rush forward. He did not make a speech. He reached into his pocket and took out a small ring with a simple stone. It was not loud. It was honest. "Will you marry me?" he asked. "If your answer is yes, we will keep our good habits. We will keep our clear words. We will move gently." Always thinking first of Lena's heart, Sarah looked at the ring, then at him. "Yes," she said, with clear word. They did know.